does this team look different, and are they a real contender with Flacco at quarterback here, Huck?
To me, I think that's why the decision is made, because what you're getting from the guys outside of the quarterback. I know we sit here and talk about the quarterback every day, every show, but there are 21 other guys out there, right?
Yeah.
And they have to make sure they're going into games feeling like they have the opportunity to get out of there with a win, or like they're going to have an opportunity to maximize their time at their position. And so for these coaches, and to your point about the snaps, putting Joe Flacco in there probably gives a little bit of a lift
Gives
to the
them a
rest of
chance
those
to
guys,
win the division.
because they
they're
understand
not going to beat anybody at the top.
they have a guy that's not overwhelmed, right? And to your point about the play, and to Marcus's point, which is a great point, that preparation into the week, feeling like you have all the answers to the test when you're in there, prevents you from saying, hey, I need a breather, give me one play
They're all
out.
in practice, too. They can see who's playing better there as well. Go ahead, Swag.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Flacco, obviously, like we have recency of Joe Flacco making a team better.
Yep.
It ain't like they just going to somebody that they haven't seen play football very, very recently, even within their own group, but also when he was in Cleveland and going to the playoffs. So it's not a hard decision from as far as play. And I agree with you, Dan. Anthony Richardson has some good plays. It's the inconsistency, though, as far as football play that I think he's sitting down. And also, I think the mental part of it got to him.
Dan, the stats, as we just told you.
Okay, so let's talk about this, because it's so obvious, right, that Joe Flacco instantly makes this team significantly better. I've been arguing this for weeks and weeks and weeks, and a lot of Colts fans were kind of getting angry about it because they were like, Anthony Richardson, needs to be developed, this, that, and the third. And I was like, you have to think about the other players. Right? I literally made a video about this just a few days ago emphasizing this, that you have to worry about the other players as well, that they're not part of this ride to just go sit and develop, a quarterback, one that is clearly struggling significantly. That becomes a problem. Even if that's true about Anthony Richardson, that if he just keeps playing and gets developed, that he could become like the greatest quarterback ever, it's a difficult, hard sell to the rest of the locker room. Outside of maybe some of the guys that got signed by the Colts that are getting a ton of money and they understand, hey, we're giving you this money, but this is part of the job description to ride out these lows and development of a quarterback. Then you can make that argument because they're employees at that point. It's like, hey, this is what you're signing up for. You don't have to sign here. You don't have to be here, right? That's kind of part of that agreement. But outside of a situation like that, which doesn't really exist for the Colts, it's one of those things where it's like these guys have their own careers to worry about. This is their goal, their life, their dream. Their dream is to not be sitting around waiting for Anthony Richardson to become a better quarterback, right? People's livelihood is at stake. They only get one shot at this as well. So, I mean, say what you will, but like that's what the NFL is. It is a sink or swim league. And it's not like, and Anthony Richardson got paid a ton of money. He's made more money essentially failing in the NFL than 99.9% of the world will make throughout their entire career, their entire life. So there's no real tears to be shed for Anthony Richardson either right now. He will get another chance, whether with the Colts or someone else. But right now, this team can be a contender. They can be fighting. They can fight to win the division. They can make some noise in the playoffs. I mean, Shane Steichen and Joe Flacco will work. We saw Shane Steichen and Gardner Minshew. We've seen Joe Flacco with Kevin Stefanski. And I think Shane Steichen's better than that. And the Colts have a great offensive line. It's like top 10 according to PFF. They have a great running back. Joe Flacco is a seasoned veteran. You can see the veteran presence. And it matters. It really, really matters. I mean, with Joe Flacco, the numbers skyrocket for third down conversion. Skyrocket. First downs, everything. It all skyrockets. It is so brutally difficult to play with a player like Anthony Richardson because he's so inconsistent. Yes, he shows such amazing highs, right? Truly some extraordinary highs. But his lows are pretty extraordinary as well. And it's the constant swinging and up and down that if you're another player on that team and you're the coaching staff, it's exhausting. It is exhausting. You're better off playing with a quarterback who is like, let's say he can swing from 100 and he can swing to a 10 if we're going on a 0 to 100 scale. it's so much easier, even if the net positive, the average ends up being, let's say, 60 or something, again, made up. It's so much easier to play with someone if their average is just 50, but they're not swinging so far up and down. Because as a player, you're like, I have no idea what to expect. Coaching staff, I have no idea what to expect. It's exhausting. It really is. You've probably experienced that in your life, whether it was with playing or relationships. If you ever dated someone or have a family member where sometimes they're really happy, sometimes they're insanely upset. It would be easier if they were just kind of like moderate. Maybe they never get real hot, real high up there, so it's not like super fun to be around, but they're also not super low where it's not like, oh my God, do we gotta, take you somewhere? Right? So it's just like that's the problem that Anthony Richardson has right now. The swings are just exhausting. And as a fan, you have to be exhausted by it. I mean, I think even that's actually the low-hanging fruit right there. Even just a fan sitting here and watching that, you have to just be like, oh my God, I just want some consistency. Yes, you've done some awesome things, but I'll trade those awesome things away if you could just raise your floor up a little bit. That's become such a problem. And so again, if you're feeling that as a fan, better believe the coaches and the other players are feeling it as well. So yes, this is the decision that the Colts have to make, at the very least, just to save the locker room, right? To save the culture, to save their ability to get free agents next season, to get people who want to play with the Colts. Because there's all this talk about developing Anthony Richardson. There's also reputation I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but reputation at stake, right? Like it matters. Players aren't going to want to go to Indianapolis. They're not going to want to play for the Colts if everything just keeps kind of going all over the place. What top wide receiver is going to be like, I can't wait to go there, right? Like they're not going to want it. So these things matter. You have to show your team that you can compete. You have to show the fans that you can compete. You have to show the coaches that you can compete. You have to show future players that you can compete, that there's a reason to come to want to be a Colt. Like all of those things honestly matter. And that's ultimately what this decision does, more than anything, outside of just the immediacy of this team getting better, more productive, more organized. It makes everyone happier. Everyone. I don't know if there's a single person in that locker room that's not like, oh my God, thank God we did this. Everybody feels better. And at this point, they'll feel better losing with Joe Flacco than losing with Anthony Richardson, because they at least know it's the right call. They at least know it's the right decision. They at least know that this puts them in the best situation to win. And that's really, at the end of the day, what you're also really looking for from a team. If you're another teammate, if you're another player, you're just like, I just want to be in the position to win. It's not even a matter, of course I want to win. At the end of the day, I want to win. But I also want to feel like we're giving our best shot. When the Colts lose with Anthony Richardson and they see some of those numbers, I don't have them right off the top of my head, 10 for 30 or whatever the heck they are, right? Like, no one feels good about that loss. 10 for 32, 175 yards, 2 fumbles, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception, and a rating of 48. And yet they still almost won. Like, that was my point before. They still almost won that game despite just awful quarterback play, right? No one part of the Colts feels good about that. They're not like, if Anthony Richardson was just a little bit better, we could win that game. They're thinking, no, why even start him? This is ridiculous. How good would we be if Joe Flacco was our quarterback? That's what everyone's thinking. And so ultimately, that's why this move was made. I think it's absolutely, undeniably the right move. When Anthony Richardson first went down and Joe Flacco came up, I immediately made a video and said, Joe Flacco will turn this team instantly better. And that has been proven the case. Again, I'm not going to act like Joe Flacco is going to be a 27-year-old prime quarterback, right? Just balling out, dishing, being lethal, and doing anything he wants. I'm not saying that either. But what I am saying is he will be significantly better. And dare I say, with Shane Steichen, who I think will probably be, unless I'm forgetting someone, will be the best offensive mind that he's ever had as a coach within Shane Steichen. Dare I say, Joe Flacco will legitimately play like a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Dare I say it. We'll have to see. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about benching Richardson, and how far can the Colts go with Flacco? Are they true contenders? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.